Chapter 1. Just once I'd like to hear you screaming in pain. Agent Seyfried plucked a long, wicked syringe off the instrument table and flicked the barrel. It resonated with a metallic ting. Think the doc will let me stab you in the eye if I ask her real nice? Malik breathed out an exasperated sigh. If it would speed things along, I'd have no objections. He spoke in a posh British accent that conveyed politeness and condescension in equal parts, like a university professor who'd been forced to lecture a class full of dim-witted middle schoolers. He was lying on the operating table wearing a suit, tie, and Ferragamo shoes, having refused to change into the ghastly blue hospital gown he was handed on the way in. This wasn't a sodding rectal exam, after all. He didn't understand why removing his trousers was a necessary component of retinal surgery. The proceedings were tedious, to be sure, but it was all part of his promotion. When Malik had been appointed the director of Father Division, he'd been ordered to undergo the mandatory procedure. Even in the absence of Nolan Foxcroft, the agency was becoming more adept at techno-alchemy, the unlikely marriage of technology and magic, and had recently pioneered a system called post-mortem ocular reflection. In the event of a director's death, his or her eyes could be surgically removed and placed into a device roughly the size of an old VCR, which was tethered to a headpiece that resembled virtual reality goggles. The tech, coupled with an Albanian reflection charm, generated a crystal-clear series of images replaying some of the most memorable events of the subject's life, and if the proprietor of the eyes had died under mysterious circumstances, their killer could be identified and punished accordingly. Malik wasn't opposed to the operation, but it felt like a terrible waste of an afternoon. It's not like he needed anesthetic. He could have done the injection himself and saved everyone the time and effort. "Do you ever get nervous?" Seyfried asked. "When you're about to take a hit, I mean." He wandered to the metallic workstation at the side of the room and used a reflective cabinet to straighten his tie. Malik aside, he was the only agent who wore a three-piece suit to the office. With his square jaw, piercing blue eyes, and a thicket of perfectly coiffed hair, they were practically mirror images. Only Seyfried's golden blonde locks and the scar across his cheekbone set them apart. "Nervous?" Malik laughed. "No, not particularly." "And why is that?" "Because," Malik thought, "I can't be hurt. Because I regenerate almost instantly. Because if you live long enough, you realize that no one surprises, people never change, and everyone, especially the worst among us, were predictable to a fault." "Because," Malik said, "all too often I know precisely what is about to happen. It's a little anticlimactic, to be honest. Takes some of the spice out of life." "The certainty must be nice, though. Kind of like being psychic." "Don't be daft. Psychics are no more reliable than a horoscope in the Sunday newspaper." "You still read the paper?" Seyfried tore his eyes away from his handsome reflection. "How old are you, man? Really?" It was a question Malik got asked with irritating frequency. Most placed him somewhere in his mid to late 20s, though no one knew for sure. The sigil tattooed across his shoulder was the key to his regenerative powers, and a hex had stopped the aging process dead in its tracks. Since a sigil can't be removed, he was doomed to be young and devastatingly handsome until magic was shut off at the source. When it came to his age, Malik considered letting the cat out of the bag since it would stop the endless barrage of inquiries, but he enjoyed the fact that it annoyed his coworkers, Seyfried being among them. Withholding a piece of trivial information was a jolt of pettiness that could power him through a dreary workday, like a shot of cappuccino, and today was one of those days. Whether it's an insurance company or the CIA, an office was still an office after all. Everyone had their little distractions to cut through the mundane. "I'm old enough to know when someone is beating around the bush," Malik said, "but young enough to let it annoy me." Seyfried sauntered back to the operating table, hands deep in his pockets. "I like that about you. Always something clever to say." "Yes, I'm a cunning linguist. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm about to have a metallic device implanted in my eye. I'd appreciate some privacy. All part of the promotion. You're director now. Gotta take the good with the bad, yeah? Malik swung his legs off the edge of the table and sat upright. If he was going to be harangued, he might as well make eye contact with his haranguer. Is that what this social call is really about, John? Professional jealousy? Nothing like that. Siegfried flashed a pearly white grin. But since you brought it up, I think we both know I deserved your promotion. Malik returned a smile of his own. Is that so? Because the secretary seemed to disagree with you. And besides, you should be thankful that Charles King is no longer running F Division. He was harder on you than anyone. No, I should just be thankful I'm still alive. Somewhere in mid-sentence, Siegfried's smile began to fade. I'm not sure I'm following. You're a black cat, Siegfried said. You keep crossing people's paths, and they keep landing in body bags. You and your superstitions. Honestly, I can't keep track of them all. Do you still believe your collection of cardboard pictures keeps you safe on missions, John? Siegfried narrowed his eyes. If the rest of this shit is true, who says a baseball card can't be good luck? For someone working at a clandestine division of the CIA in charge of capturing magical adepts, Siegfried certainly had a poor understanding of his trade. The shit you're referring to is magic, I assume, which in most cases is quantifiable. It's practically a new branch of science. Luck has nothing to do with it. You have all the answers, don't you? Siegfried folded his arms tightly across his chest. So try this on for size. What happened to Director King? He got in my way, so I put a bullet in his bulbous head, you sotting twit. Of course, Malik wasn't about to share that tidbit of information with anyone, least of all Agent Siegfried. Instead, he stared back at his accuser. Let me recap since your memory's a little hazy, the agent continued. Understandable for someone of your advanced years. First, you got recruited by the CIA. I would have gone with conscripted, but please go on. And within a month, Director Walker was found dead. 2 bullets in her skull, untraceable bullets, by the way, and no leads on the shooter. Malik shrugged. We're not crossing guards, mate. This is a dangerous job. Uh-huh. And because of Walker's death, a new protocol was put in place. Every new director was ordered to receive the ocular implants. He picked up the syringe. Director King was first, but his killer must have known that too, because word around the water cooler is that whoever capped him used a hellfire enchantment to vaporize his body. No eyes, no evidence. He knows, and he knows that I know that he knows. Another unfortunate coincidence, Malik said, breezy and charming as ever. Perhaps you should consult your baseball cards for additional information. Do they function like tea leaves, or are they more akin to tarot cards? Siegfried reached deep into his pockets and extracted a stack of baseball cards, perhaps 60 or 70, thicker than a deck of playing cards. He shuffled them with the practiced ease of a street magician, but with such care that he never bent or creased a single corner. Each was in mint condition. It was impressive, but Malik had seen this parlor trick before. Siegfried's power, the one granted to him as a result of the sigil tattooed on his chest, was generating probability fields, allowing him to tip seemingly random decisions in his favor within a small radius. It was ideal for cheating at casinos, which was how he was caught by the agency in the first place. It also made him exceptionally difficult to kill, since bullets, blades, and magical attacks never quite seemed to connect with him, no matter how proficient the marksman. Am I to select a card at random? Malik asked. Let me guess, you'll pull it from behind my ear. The card that Siegfried plucked from the top of the deck was a faded black and white portrait. Gabby Hartnett, he said without looking. Catcher, Chicago Cubs, debuted in 1922. Want to know why I'm such a fan of Gabby? Not particularly. He was one of the all-time best at throwing out runners. You get cocky and take a lead, confident you're going to steal a base. You sprint. Just when you think you're home free, Gabby rockets the ball across the diamond and boom, you're out. Seifert clapped his hands together, gave them a quick rub, and just like that, the cards were gone. And you never saw it coming. Impressive, Malik said. Do you do balloon animals as well? My birthday is right around the corner. Collecting cardboard rectangles with photographs of long-deceased athletes seemed like an odd pastime for a grown man, and believing they helped trigger a magical spell was even stranger, but who was he to judge? Malik had done his fair share of treasure hunting back in the day. Besides, the value of a treasure lies in the eyes of the beholder. There were far worse obsessions. The operating room doors swung open. It was Amanda Cho, the exceptionally irritating director of DARPA. She was 40-something with an angular black bob and a charcoal pantsuit, never without a briefcase and a caffeinated beverage. Malik imagined her closet at home being stocked with carbon copies of the identical outfit. He couldn't remember another suit in her rotation. Or maybe she never left the Pentagon. Am I interrupting? Cho asked, but with a tone that indicated she wouldn't have cared either way. No, Malik said brightly. Young Agent Seifert here was just making a series of veiled threats and accusations buttressed by little more than wild conspiracies. He turned his attention back to Seifert, whose eyes had gone dark and intense. If you're not finished, we can schedule a meeting for later this week. I'll provide you with my fax number. I need both of you upstairs in conference room B, Cho said. 30 minutes. Don't be late. Amanda must have forgotten about Malik's recent promotion because she no longer had the authority to demand that he appear anywhere, let alone the gaudy DARPA conference rooms that hadn't been renovated since the mid-'70s. The rusted orange carpeting gave him hives just thinking about it. I appreciate the invitation, Malik said, although you'll have to make arrangements with my assistant Duncan. I don't have an opening for several months, however. If you're a fan of mimosas, we can meet at my golf club for brunch later in the— Malik, Cho shouted. You're not listening. You were given the director promotion and the corner office and the glittering new badge, but the protocols are clearly outlined. No one can assume the position of director of Father Division until 48 hours after their ocular implants have been administered. The window gives them time to settle in, I suppose. Bloody hell. The secretary had issued Malik a handbook when he was sworn in, but he assumed his assistant would review it and text him the highlights. Apparently Duncan is a slow reader. Dr. Olawale strolled in and apologized for being late. She politely asked that anyone not about to undergo surgery was to wait in the lobby. Seifert offered a few parting words as he shoved the double doors open. Make sure to get both eyes, Doc. If someone cracks the code and figures out how to kill Director Malik, we want to capture the moment.